baseball event.
Just rips the cover off that ball.
And then in a show that I hosted with XQC Juiced, I got Fansly as the sponsor. That was the main sponsor that we were able to secure. Originally, the sponsor that I used to use all the time, the one that would always be reliable for me, was Coinbase. Coinbase sponsored my Mogul Money. They were supposed to sponsor XQC's Juiced, and XQC signed off on that. He was like, "Yeah, I love Coinbase." And then everybody was like, "Crypto's way too cringe." And Coinbase let go a lot of people, and they were struggling, so stopped using them as a whole. But here's a point to talk about: what is okay and not okay to use as a sponsor. And the answer, kind of boring. It's what is aligned with your ethics and morals, what you personally think is okay. And that should be different for everybody. But there's generally like a guardrail, like you're at a bowling alley, but you keep hitting the gutter. So you get the guardrail of what is okay and not okay according to.
Porn is better than crypto? Oh, 100%. I think porn is better than crypto. Well, yeah, I will stand by that. I think porn is better than crypto. I think porn is better than gambling, definitely. Like, I don't have an issue with porn at all. I hope that came across as very clear. If we're going to talk about a separate side issue about, like, easily accessible pornographic material for young minds, and how much young people can access porn and how easily young people can access porn, I don't know what the impacts of that are, but I'm always an advocate for sexual education, and I do believe that it should not be left up to porn, which is just another type of artistic expression and consumption. I think it's like ridiculous. You don't learn how to fucking fly by watching Superman. You don't learn how to do math by watching movies. And you should not learn sex from porn. Porn is just a completely separate thing. Unfortunately, in a society where we do not have adequate sexual education, in a puritanical and otherwise patriarchal society, where a lot of these conversations are cast aside, not talked about, seen as a taboo, we do not have the adequate sexual education, so people do turn to porn and see it as like educational. Porn, on the other hand, and this is outside of the boundaries of heteronormativity, but porn, on the other hand, can sometimes be liberating for queer people with respect to learning about their identities and getting more comfortable within their own identities. This is a very commonly forgotten aspect of porn, and even then, it should not be left up to porn. It should be done through regular conversations, having open and frank conversations that parents should be encouraged to have with their children, and also on top of that, learning at schools. We do not have that reality right now as it stands, but that would be the systemic solution to any kind of additional complications that porn could possibly create. So that's it. But I do think that the concept of like porn sick, like these people are porn sick, these people have rotted their fucking brains, it's something that I see in Zoomers a lot. And I think that is perhaps coming from the like I said, unfettered access, unrestricted access to pornographic materials from a very early age. And some people, unfortunately, do not know how to handle that. They do not know how to control themselves, and they do not know how to handle that, which is where regulation should come into play. Some form of regulation. Okay?
To like the public conscious. The way I determine it is the same way I just said it. It's what aligns with my ethics and morals. So it's kind of subjective. But I'll tell you before I jump into exactly what I'm cool with and not cool with about my ethos as a whole. Because when I switched over to YouTube, I made a specific mental switch that I would no longer get money directly from my viewers. And I put that in quotes because at the end of the day, I still only get money because of my viewers, but I get them from their views and their attention rather than their wallets directly. And before that, most of
I have a fucking counter to this. I think subscriptions are significantly better as a form of revenue generation. Not only is it more consistent, but it also leads to significantly more autonomy with respect to editorial control than relying on mega corporations to give you money. Here is one aspect where myself and Ludwig and even XQC, who I've talked to about this particular thing, actually are at a disagreement. Okay? I do not agree with that. I think that, I mean, it's great. For someone like Ludwig, for someone like XQC, that might be great. Okay? Ad revenue is pretty good. I would much rather maintain my editorial control and maintain my autonomy by getting subscription-based revenue. That's it. That has been my day one approach to this subject. Subs are why you shouldn't be in this drama. You don't take sponsor dollars. Yeah, that is part of it. I rarely ever do sponsorships. I oftentimes turn down massive budgets, massive sponsorship opportunities. I've talked about some of them recently, specifically one about poker. But yeah, I don't do it, but that doesn't mean that I don't have an. It doesn't mean that I don't have an opinion on the matter. You still do ads? Shut the fuck up, lol. Yes, I have a contract with Amazon. This is true. I have an exclusivity contract with Amazon because the platform that I primarily stream on is this one, Twitch. I have made this decision after thinking about it long and hard and considering that this is like the best platform for me right now in this particular moment to be on. That's it. You know, that's an entirely different conversation that we could be having, but this is not what we're talking about. What I mean by the sponsorships is not ads. Sponsorships is when you get a native advertising opportunity by directly talking to a brand, oftentimes conducted by a manager or some ad agency or maybe your agents. Okay? A lot of streamers do a combination of all three. They have subs, they run ads, and they have sponsors. XQC is a great example of this. He does all three. Okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think that there's anything wrong with sponsorships, by the way. Let me just make sure that people understand. Let me be clear. There is nothing wrong with getting sponsorships, okay? That does not mean that there are certain sponsorships that I would consider to be not great or even outright unethical. Obviously, if British Petroleum was sponsoring streamers specifically to say that global warming is actually not an issue and you shouldn't worry about it, I would say that that is an unethical sponsorship. Okay? I think that that's not an ethical sponsorship. If you're doing a sponsorship for an unregulated crypto casino that is incredibly easy to access, no matter what age you are, but very difficult to take money out of, I would say that that is an unethical sponsorship. Okay? Raytheon. Getting sponsored by Raytheon to promote their latest missiles would be an unethical sponsorship. Okay? So, that's hot take. Ubisoft is just as bad as British Petroleum. Yes, I do not agree with that take. I love that. That is a take that you could only arrive at if you are so permanently brain broken by just being I don't know, Haas. It's debatable. Okay. No. No, you're right. Ubisoft is worse. They ruined gaming, which is significantly worse than fucking British Petroleum ruining the planet. Anyway, let's continue.
My money came from subscribers or donations. But since I've switched over to YouTube, I changed all of my subscribers or memberships to $1. And I stopped all donations. They're all capped at $10. And I don't even get any of those dollars anyway. They go directly to my moderators. It just felt weird to me to receive dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of dollars from an individual when I know I'm doing very well because YouTube signed me a big old paycheck. Thank you, Susan. Please sign it again. That's the gist. So I would rather be getting like a few pennies for your views and for your attention from different sponsors, from YouTube ad rolls, than I would money from you directly. Does that make sense?
I would love to see what Ludwig's attitude towards subscription revenue will be if the new CEO of YouTube doesn't, re-up his contract. For the record, I personally think that they would be delusional not to re-up Ludwig's contract. I think he's fucking great. He's a catch. He is a brilliant content creator. I will never say this to his face. If you clip this and show this to him, I will deny it. I will say it's AI. Okay? He is a massive pickup for YouTube, and he is a brilliant content creator in the space, and I appreciate all the stuff that he does. Having said that, however, if he were to lose the fat YouTube contract he currently has that covers everything and then some, I suspect he would not have this exact same approach as it pertains to generating revenue from subscriptions. Why'd you give away your defense? What do you mean?
That was a switch I made, which, by the way, people I think are more and more making a decision that they don't like advertising. They don't like free stuff. Maybe they prefer a paid subscription service where you don't have to watch ads. That might be like a cultural shift, which I would just have to adapt to. So anyway, let's get to my ethics and morals of what I think is cool, what I think is not cool. Why did I take a fancy sponsorship? If you guys don't know, it's kind of a downturn right now. There's not a lot of people who are out and about trying to sponsor events, at least not as many as there were a year or 2 years ago. It has dried up a lot. So Fansly has been one of the more reliable sponsors to work with. And honestly, I've been talking to them about sponsoring more events later this year. So, I did say that I'm only guided by my ethics and morals. That was kind of a lie. I'm also guided by what the viewers would think is cool. For example, a sponsor wants you to look at their ad to maybe sign up for it. But if you guys all collectively decided, or the majority did, that the sponsor I'm using is super cringe, well, then it'd be a failure of a sponsorship. You guys would all shit on it. The sponsor would be upset. They wouldn't be happy with me. I wouldn't be happy because I'm not succeeding in creating a broadcast that's sustainable that I can do again in the future. So I would stop doing it. So there is another guiding principle, and that's all to say that your voice matters in this situation. If you're like, hey, Ludwig, Fansly's too far, or hey, Ludwig, I don't like when you did it with Coinbase, that'd be chill. In fact, that's part of why I stopped using Coinbase in the first place. Now, for me, maybe this is my European background. I care less about porn. I care less about nudity.
My European background, oh my God, motherfucker, you grew up in New Hampshire, dog. It's your libertarian roots that is causing you not to care about porn. Yo, this yee ass motherfucker puts on a turtleneck, has his hair all coiffed, and he goes, maybe it's because of my European background. It's like maybe that is the reason. Who knows? I like the tété, retro tété. It's very nice. He said, maybe it's because of my European background. Yes.
I don't have this in my mind, a group of kids.
But he's not wrong, though. It is, Americans are insanely puritanical. And it's very odd. Like, it is, like, the rest of the world looks at it and goes, that is kind of weird. Okay? It's true. Like, anyway.
Kids who I'm concerned about saving, and that's how I decide every moral or ethical decision is what these group of kids that are imaginary would care about. We should stop gambling because of the kids. We shouldn't show anything that's adult content because of the kids. We shouldn't advertise alcohol. I shouldn't do drinking streams because of the kids. I don't give a fuck about the kids. I don't cater my content directly towards kids. I do a lot of gambling. I do a lot of drinking. I do a lot of swearing.
I for the record, I don't disagree with this. But this is very New Hampshire libertarian, by the way. Live free or die ass motherfucker talking about how he's European. Okay? Yeah, I agree. I don't disagree with this. It's like the idea that like, oh, it's like fucking especially if you have content that is not supposed to be tailored towards children, then like the idea that like, oh, dude, think about the children is fucking ridiculous.
And say that if you're a kid, I'm a channel that you should necessarily watch. I maybe this one because it's more drama, it's more straightforward. But my main channel, yeah, I get it to some debauchery. I used to take a poker sponsor. I only stopped because not my ethics and morals, but it would be too hard to argue against sponsored gambling, specifically for slots, and then still allow sponsored poker, which I view as different. That's a different line to me, which some people might call me crazy for.
I don't even think that's all that crazy either, for the record. Gambling is still gambling. But yes, poker is still poker. I would put in a totally different category.
The way I see it is sponsored gambling, like slots or blackjack, has a house edge. You are guaranteed to lose money. It is an inevitable fact. The longer you play, the more money you will lose. And sponsored gambling is a little weird because I'm getting paid by this sponsor to gamble money I normally would not gamble. And then I would occasionally get wins I would not get and celebrate them as if they are as legitimate as any other one.
Like even blackjack, I would put at a different, as someone who gambles, okay? You guys know this. I like gambling. I'm very haram, okay? I personally like gambling. I personally like drinking. I do all of this stuff, right? As far as like what I have done throughout my experience, I've done a little bit of slots. Actually won a lot of fucking money, weirdly enough. Do not do it, obviously. More money than I have ever gambling in my lifetime fucking playing blackjack. But I would say that slots is the most on steroids. You're basically giving money to the fucking... You're basically giving money to the casino directly versus blackjack, which is still you're giving money to the casino directly, even though there is more skill involved to a certain degree. To poker, where you're not giving money to the house, you're literally giving money to whoever the fuck is significantly better than you at poker. So yeah.
I think that's weird. I think all sponsored gambling should stop. Having said that, I've never been against gambling content as a whole. If you go back to any of the videos I made about gambling, I always said end sponsored gambling, not end gambling. I love poker. Poker is one of the main games I played in college. I allegedly ran an illegal online poker ring for a while. And so I took poker sponsorships because you're playing against another human. And oftentimes when I was sponsored, it's because the house takes a rake, so they get a little bit of money, but you can still be a very winning player if you have studied more. And of course, you have luck and variance on your side. Anyway, but that's kind of where my line is. I don't take a lot of sponsors for things that I'm against using. That's kind of where I make my line, right? It's like if I wouldn't play this gacha game, then yeah, I probably shouldn't play it on stream for 2 hours because it's a little disingenuous. But sometimes I also break that too, right? I was sponsored by G Fuel for a while, but I was still drinking coffee every morning. Now I'm no longer sponsored by them because I think they're kind of a piece of shit company. But a lot of the streamers who are sponsored by G Fuel don't even drink that shit. It's way too much caffeine and taurine, and they just get a little cup of coffee in the morning, and then they pretend to drink G Fuel. Is that chill, right? What about people who are sponsored by...
I'm not even kidding. This is what I used when I was in Vegas. When I was at the casino, I carry this in my wallet everywhere I go. The fact that this man thinks that I have it out for him is insane. I literally carry this everywhere I go. It's in my wallet every fucking day. Okay? And when I was playing slots for the first time in my entire fucking life, I would constantly put this and go, I'm going to get it twisted. And I would flip it to get it twisted. And I would place it on the button. And I would hit it. Okay? I'm a very superstitious person. You guys know this. Turkish quality. I'm sorry. I'm a very superstitious person. I keep this with me at all times. Okay? And I literally believe that it brings me luck. I would smack this fucking thing on the button when I'm playing slots. So the idea that this dude thinks that I fucking despise him, thinks that like I hate him or I've had it out to get him from the jump is additionally hilarious. But, you know, it is what it is. Okay? Anyway, you're allowed to have one insane belief. Exactly. Which is that. That is my one insane belief. Hasan, train is down millions? Yes, but it helps me win millions. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, let's get back to this video. Ludwig looks very sad. I don't know what's going on.
Gotcha games. You know, do you think that's chill? What about VPN services that overhype their quality? What about free to download extensions that save you deals but might also sell your data? Is that chill to advertise? I think the reality is that everybody will draw the line right below what they do and then maybe admonish everything below that line as well. And everything above that line is okay with them and they have no problems with. But the power of the viewer is to change that line. So if you see a streamer or creator that you like, that you think is being a little too liberal with where they push their line, then you tell them to lift that line. You tell them to get a little more strict. Hey, I don't like it when you have Fansly as a sponsor. I don't like it when you have Coinbase. I don't like it when you have a VPN. That's all very legitimate things to feel as a viewer. And the feedback, I promise you, is always read. And whether it's acted on or not is to the judgment of the streamer. And I'm an open guy, so I'm down. I'm down for a conversation to figure out what's what. In my mind, an adult-oriented site doesn't bother me. I think it's fine. I think porn is chill and people can look at porn, and a site like Fansly where the creator directly profits off of it as opposed to all the shit that happens on the more conventional sites like Pornhub is a wholly good thing. And I don't generally mind doing it. I don't generally cater my content towards kids, and I don't consider the kids when I'm making my content. When I'm making a literal event that people are supposed to punch each other in the face, where half the time I'm getting drunk on stream or taking a gummy and playing Super Autopets, I'm not thinking about the kids. I'm not like, oh, should I be a good influence here? All I'm trying to do is be a good person to the world and make things that I find entertaining and I watch. That's it. So anyway,
yeah, I mean, I understand why he's saying that. I get that. I still am kind of unsure as to what the fuck's going on with respect to like the perceived hypocrisy, but the one thing that is the worst thing you can do on the internet, remember, is be perceived as a hypocrite, okay? Hypocrisy only matters because it's vibes-based. If people are uncharitable to you, they will say you're hypocritical. If they are charitable to you and like your content, they will overlook, even if you are actually hypocritical. Ultimately, none of it matters. It's basically just a gotcha, okay? And that's it.
Fansly advertisements on Twitch. This is actually a war that I've been drafted into and tossed into the front lines, so I've been catching fire and getting called out, labeled a hypocrite, and morally flexible when it comes to things my friends do that I call others out for. So I kind of want to talk about this entire subject here because I feel that it's just a load of dirty barnacles to call me hypocritical when it comes to Fansly advertisements. So allow me to show you to your table and deliver your entree of drama that you've ordered. So, the situation in a nutshell. A couple weeks ago, there was the Streamer Awards that happened on Twitch. I was unable to attend them in person, so I received permission from QT Cinderella to watch party them. This was a massive event that QT Cinderella put together. And one of the advertisers for it, one of the sponsors, was Fansly. So during the stream, a Fansly advertisement popped up, and this was my reaction to it.
A free trial of some of our hottest creators. On top of that, sign in using your Twitch account and see which of your favorite streamers are already creating adult content on Fansly. Fansly has a whole algorithm dedicated to discovering new content and...
Bro, this shit is giving this particular sponsor so much more earned media, by the way. Okay. You missed it? Oh, here. This is where it is. Don't worry. Boop. Just kidding. Don't do it. Don't do it. Anyway. Yeah, this part of the fucking conversation is that, like, I think that this is definitely not a good ad, okay? You know, it's a little ridiculous that you're doing like a direct, like, go over there. Your favorite streamers are on there. I mean, everybody kind of knows, but at least like setting up one layer. Setting up one layer of like inconvenience is probably the right thing to do, you know, etiquette wise, because it is still a you know, platform that makes pornographic material. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's great. You know, good on these ladies for going out and making their own money on this. Do this while they're a whole ass primetime TV ads that mimic blowjobs and shove asses in your face. But yeah, I think the real inconsistency here is with Twitch. If you can't advertise your OnlyFans in your Twitch bio, then this ad is absolutely against the rules. Exactly. I think that, you know, people get mad at advertising putting your OnlyFans on your Twitch bio, but this is like, you know, this is pretty much the same thing.
And creators through the Fansly For You feature. Swipe and discover today.
A very tame giggle, as if someone came up and playfully tickled me for a moment. And people were upset because I didn't start spitting and shitting, taking up arms about how disgusting it was that Fansly was being advertised.
You would agree, though, that we should be able to link our OnlyFans and Fansly, right? Well, people already use Linktree for it, and I think that is a very good compromise on the matter. Like, as long as you go to a separate place, like, it's basically about like making it a little bit less accessible, right? It's not like a real fucking safeguard or anything like that. And I think that if there was to be regulation surrounding it, it would probably be over encompassing, and it would most likely be compromising as far as your own personal data or your own personal privacy, right? But at least like adding an additional click there makes it a little bit better. Exactly. Any layer of inconvenience makes a difference. What do I always say about guns? Any layer of inconvenience makes it less accessible. That's why the Veterans Affairs used to run ads on this fucking platform about suicidal veterans and how they should buy a gun lock. Okay? Because any layer of inconvenience makes you second guess yourself. Any layer of inconvenience makes a big difference. Okay?
On this broadcast here.
I'll watch the
Reason
ads
being
hands
is
up.
because prior I had made a video talking about a couple of things. One of them was Aiden Ross when he showed porn to his audience. My statement was that Aiden Ross went on Pornhub in front of his audience, which a lot of them are kids on the younger side of things. So I said that was weird. That was a weird thing to do. So when I giggled during the Fansly segment, it was used as a smoking gun to call out and attack me for being a hypocrite. Because it's the same principle. Fansly was just shown on stream to an audience that undoubtedly had kids watching. How is that any different than Aiden Ross going on Pornhub? Charlie is a fucking hypocrite. He called it out for Aiden Ross, but doesn't do it when it's his friend QT Cinderella. When I first heard this argument, I thought it was just a bunch of fish paste. I thought it was being used satirically, because it didn't even compute that people were trying to compare these two things. Going on an actual legitimate Pornhub...
Yes, that is absolutely fucking insane, okay? That is fucking insane. Making a comparison to Aiden Ross purposely and willingly fucking knowingly showing pornographic material on his stream literally is not only completely ridiculous, but maybe even possibly illegal. Okay? And we're not talking about like, oops, I clicked on a link and I saw horse cock. Okay? I'm not talking about some forcing shit. I was a big advocate for forcing not getting banned, especially not having a long ass fucking ban when that happened. It's not like I am friends with Forsen or even have similar worldviews with him or anything like that. But I thought that it was a wild thing that he was banned for a month at the time. You can go back and find clips of me talking about it. I thought that it was fucking ridiculous. Okay? Clicking on a link and accidentally showing